Hello, everybody, and welcome to OpenExO Live. I'm Kevin Allen, the Chief Community Officer at OpenExO. And in that intro, you saw congratulations to all of the winners at the inaugural ExO Transformation Awards that happened today. It was really, really exciting to see so many amazing stories of exponential transformations happening around the world. And today, we're excited to have Juan Jose Diaz from Mexico here on OpenExO Live. And you can see in the next 4 weeks who's coming up afterwards. And you saw there it said, hey, if you want to be a part of this, you can join OpenExO Live. You can sign up in the OpenExO platform to be interviewed on OpenExO Live. We've done over 50 of these. I think it's 55, 56 now. And so if you're interested, please do join us by applying within the OpenExO platform. And so without further ado, I'm going to bring up Juan to the stage. Juan is in Mexico City at the moment. Juan, how are you doing?
Amazing, Kevin. Thank you so very much. I'm really excited to be here with the ExO community.
Perfect. That's great. So Juan, can you just tell the audience a little bit about yourself? You've started a few businesses. You're currently running a few and involved in a few businesses. Can you just give a bit of a background about yourself and how you came into the OpenExO community?
Sure, absolutely. Maybe the best way to describe my background is saying I'm an entrepreneur, a philosopher, professional philosopher. That's my background on college. And I didn't say that of myself, but I really like that. I'm an amateur musician and a Twitter hype man. So I believe that's a good resume of myself. And I came to know ExO actually in 2016 when Salim introduced the ExO concept to the attendees of the Global Summit in Singularity University. And it really blew my mind. I say, oh man, that's exactly what I was looking for. I'm really up to understanding more about this. And later, I believe 2018, 2019, maybe, I learned about OpenExO and I say, I gotta be part of that community. I'm really excited to meet other people who thinks in exponential terms, who wants to create a better future, who wants to move the world forward. And that's exactly what I found here.
Awesome. And ultimately, like you've said, I mean, a community, formed around the idea that we can have an exponential world, that organizations need to think differently, in today, not only in the future but today, and so this community has really grown, from strength to strength. When you first heard about the ExO concept, there was maybe a few hundred people. Even if that, who were like saying, hi, what could we do? And, we're now around about 8,000 people, just over 8,000 people in 130 countries. And it's just so amazing. And so in terms of, the OpenExO, community, how has the experience been, since you joined? It's been a few years, I guess, now.
Long story short, it has been amazing, but let me share with you a quick anecdote, because I started with them. Maybe I can tell you later about it, but I started this startup with them that is focused on community, and I wanted some real feedback from people participating in active communities. So I reached out to the community in OpenExO, and oh my God, the answers were amazing. The response were so hyped around the questions, around how they can help, how they take this attribute from the ExO model and bring information to my pipeline. It was a great anecdote for me, because not only I receive a lot of information and value, of course, but also I get to know so many people working on building better communities for their quote unquote communities again. So it was amazing. Beyond that, meeting new people, talking to them, connecting digitally more, but before COVID, connecting with some of them physically here in Mexico, it was amazing. But because for me, it's not only a network. And that's a really important difference for me. It's not only a network or not only an audience. It's more close to a movement, and a movement has purpose. And we discussed that before getting on the stage, but we need to have some kind of purpose in order to build a strong community. And oh my God, ExO community does have that. And in what extent?
No, absolutely, and like you said, I mean, I'd really like to, to get to speaking about wisdom a little later. But I mean, obviously, purpose is really at the core of the ExO model, right? Like you cannot build an exponential organization if you don't have a massive transformative purpose. And so, for you personally, like, what is that massive transformative purpose? What is it that like Juan really wants to do?
For me, my personal MTP is to enable everyone to live in human-centric and democratic societies here on Earth and beyond. And what I do mean by human-centric and democratic is not a political side of the communities, but hey, if we want to thrive as human beings, we gotta start looking at each other at the center of all the matters. We are the center of our communities, of our purpose, of our status. And democratic in the terms of the power of the people. We need to understand that communities have to be participative, not only for consumption. No, you can have your quote unquote community in a Facebook group, but usually those communities or pseudo communities are groups of people around interesting content that consume the content. And that's amazing. But that's only the first layer of community. We need to move forward to a more humane and more participative communities. That's my MTV.
Absolutely. I mean, couldn't agree more. I mean, I live in Cape Town, in South Africa. I do travel a lot, but we had a massive water crisis a couple of years ago, and the city almost ran out of water. And ultimately, so many people, were making statements like, well, the city hasn't done this for us, and the city hasn't done this for us. And we had a group of, a community that was saying, what are you talking about? We are the city. Like, like the city is us. And that's what community really is all about. Now, I mean, we all know, and we can weave in wisdom here a little bit, but, communities are made up of, massive doers, a small portion who are doers of everything. They are there, they do, they contribute all the time. You do have part-time contributors, and then you do have watchers, right? People who are consuming, who are just watching within the community. But you do need to look at that balance within a community, right? In order to make sure that not everyone is just consuming and watching, but you actually have participants, right? So important. Community is just so important.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe if I can add to that thought, I think it's also a matter of mindset, and an exponential mindset indeed, because when people say the city is not doing this or that for us, what they are signaling is the institutions are not doing this or that for us. The organizations are not doing that for us. And that makes sense to somewhat extent, because we build institutions and we build organizations and we build cities, states, whatnot, in order to ensure some kind of results of our organized life. And that makes sense. But with this change of the world, this new pace of the world, these exponential trends, etc., what we are seeing is that we need to help cities, organizations, institutions to move forward to this new kind of mindset. And this is really an interesting challenge, because yes, you need this balance, but also I think we that are on this exponential mindset or in these exponential organizations, we need to understand that is 50% balance, but also 50% understanding the system. And I do believe a community is a growing system. You can start with audiences, you can start with passive participants, but you gotta move them forward to a network or a marketplace, quote unquote, kind of stage, and then to a community, and maybe later to a society. So if you have that growth, that exponential growth of society, maybe there's where we can start to understand how to help people stop complaining and start transforming.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, Juan. And this sort of conversation makes me want to go like heavily off script, really to talk about what the future of the world could be, if people embrace abundance and how we get to that, right? Because I completely understand that if because so many people live in scarcity today, right? There's so many people who in many of our countries that don't know every month whether they're going to be able to be fed, or they're going to be able to have enough heat in winter. So people live in scarcity, but that scarcity is completely artificial, right? It's been made up to work for the society we live in, which and I think the society we have, the capitalism that has boosted a lot of people out of poverty. Because if we think about it, just 100 years ago, what we consider poverty it would not, would be considered maybe, quite wealthy, in 150 years ago. But the question is that transition, right? Making it is quite difficult, because there are just so many people who do see the world as a scarce place, and unfortunately, those in power are able to use that as a way to continue that narrative. I mean, I know this is completely off script of what we were going to say, but what is your thinking towards that, right? Towards driving towards that future that does embrace abundance, because we can feed everyone on the planet. It's just that we're very badly distributed right now, as one example.
Yeah. Well, I love the question, and I love to get derailed of the script, because those are the best conversations, I believe. But it's a really tough question. But let me try to address a couple of thoughts that came to my mind. The first is scarcity and abundance, I believe, are not only objective, but also subjective. Or not only subjective, but also objective. And that pairing of objectivity and subjectivity is a real challenge, I think, because you can live in a really scarce world with really scarce capabilities around you and whatnot, and still thrive throughout your life, and still grow, and still be an amazing success story. You can do that, and that's amazing, but it's not systemic. It's not a whole story. And on the other side, you can have a lot of abundant thought and a lot of abundance around you, and not leveraging that, and ending on a scarcity point of your life. So what I think I'm trying to say here is, we as, and let me say it, we as leaders, we as community builders, we as a company builders have one enormous responsibility. And I was talking yesterday with another organization, and I told them this binomial approach to be a leader. Say, you gotta be a leader that is help people to move forward through their lives, but also you gotta be humble. And be humble doesn't mean not to accept praises or whatnot, but to accept reality. And to accept reality, we gotta accept that we humans have been really good to taking people out from poverty, but we haven't been perfect doing that, and our systems are flawed in so many ways. So what we gotta do with humility is say, okay, what does work? If these things work, let's keep that, and let's improve that, and let's create an exponential organization and an ExO curve for taking people out of poverty, or to taking people in humane communities. So that's the first thought about this. The second thought is, there is, of course, this story around scarcity. And it's so much leverage from politicians and big businessmen and whatnot, because that makes sense. It's a really good story to tell, but it's a false story. Maybe it's a true story in just one part of the story. So what I would encourage people to do is, hey, okay, You listen that story, you understand the story, but don't stay just with one story. You gotta have to listen to other stories, and maybe are so freaking false, but you don't care, and maybe others are so freaking truth, and you will care more. But you have to listen to so many stories to understand all the complexities of abundance, scarcity, people, growth, and whatnot. Because if not, you only get with one part of the reality. No, and if we are for diversity, we should be also for diversity of stories, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And I'm not sure who this is, but someone on LinkedIn was just saying, fascinating conversation. Appreciate the different perspectives. And absolutely, I agree 100%. Right now, Juan, maybe we'll bring it a little bit back to script just to say, tell us about the numerous things you do, right? So we know, like you've mentioned, Wisdom, a community platform, but I know that the things you do, and I'd like folks who are watching to get an understanding of what it is you actually do, other than hype Twitter and philosophize about the future.
I know it. Absolutely. Professionally, I'm focused right now on only three things. First is Wisdom. I'm the CEO and founder. Wisdom is a digital platform for community builders to build communities, participative communities. The thesis is social is broken. And it's not the fault of the big corporations and the evil, an evil spirit behind Facebook and LinkedIn and whatnot. No, I'm really fan of those social platforms. No, after all, I'm a millennial in that extent. But the digital platforms, Web 2.0, was built upon a thesis, the thesis of consumption, connect to consume. And that makes sense because Web 1.0 was built in order to open the gates to access information, to be able to know things. But communities are much more than consumption, as we discussed. So what we are building is, what if we can create participative communities on a digital platform? Not only to consume content, that is important, but also to connect with others, to create a project, to create an event, to move forward the needle. So it's more participative on its nature. No, that's the main idea. And the second idea of Wisdom is, today, the stack is also broken. You have your group in WhatsApp, and then you move to Facebook, and then you publish on Twitter, and then you have to check your email, and after all that, you don't know where you are standing. So you say, oh my God, I'm lost. At least for someone like me that is so unorganized, and I'm always thinking on other things, I wasn't being able to build real community. So what we're trying to do is, okay, in order to participate more efficiently, let's bring all the stuff together. So messaging, project management, event management, membership management, etc., is all stacked on Wisdom. That's the first. The second is immigration the right way. And immigration the right way is, again, a platform for people. Again, community. But after all, my MTP is all around creating communities. And what I believe is humans are not aliens. We are not immigrants in a sense. We are explorers. We are nomads. And I do understand that we gotta be really careful how we got to a new country, because the countries have rules, and that's amazing. If we do not have norms, if we do not have rules, we cannot ensure growth, because growth depends on order. But countries also need more talent, and people and countries need more people, and that's why we want to create this new path of immigration that helps people to go and pursue a better life, quality of life, pursuit of happiness, and whatnot, and help the countries to have everything in order to be more expedite in accepting the applicants. So right now we are focusing on the consumer side, that let's help people to get precisely to the States on a more ordained way. No? And then is the third startup, that is highres.work. And highres stands for hiring results and for high resolution, because we believe that talent brings high resolution to solutions. No? And that's amazing, because again, it's about community. No matter how big your company, your country, your whatever is, there's always more talent outside your borders. No? Even if you're China and with a lot of billions of people, there there are always more talented people outside your borders. So you want to bring those people in. You as a company want to bring that talent. So while we are building that, is that connection between immigration, community building, and talent finding to say, okay, if you are talented and you want to find a new great opportunity, we're gonna help you. You're a company and you want to bring talent, we're gonna help you to do that. So what we do is connect the greatest companies with the greatest talent. And right now we are focusing on brick and mortar companies. Why? Because the future of work is so much focused on remote work, digitalization, and that's amazing. But what are we going to do with drivers? What are we going to do with construction workers? No, of course, autonomous cars and trucks are coming, and autonomous 3D printers are coming. Yeah, but in the meanwhile, you gotta open those windows of exponential growth for these companies and for these people. So we want to bring all these good practices to these quote unquote outdated industries.
Awesome. That's really amazing. Great to also see how everything is really linked together. And I would be right in saying that, you know, when you're thinking about you know, structures and operations of these organizations, they are all, you know, have ExO you know, right at the front there, right? How are you and it seems like they're built in, right? Staff on demand and leveraging assets and all of these things seem right built into to what you're doing, which is amazing.
Yeah. Maybe if I needed to choose one or two of the attributes, I would say, of course, community, but on the second very close place, I would say dashboards, because dashboards help all these organizations to, well, the people who are immigrants, help them to have transparency on that process, and the companies and people looking for opportunities help them to understand where are they on the process, because you need to understand that this is a process, and the process still is not yet so much exponential. So we can help them with dashboards, and the other staff on demand, of course.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and also really when it comes to immigration, man, improve that interface. You know, I'm South African passport, so I mean, I think it's pretty much on par with the Mexican passport, maybe a little bit better, I guess. I don't know. But so many countries, you know, if I'm traveling to them, I need a visa, right? And I must go and apply at another embassy with almost the exact same paperwork. You know, if I'm traveling to, you know, Europe and Australia and Japan all in one trip, which I have done in the past, you know, it means 3 different visas, 3 different applications, and there's so much streamlining that can happen. But that conversation would take us even further, and we do have to call it a day here and close the conversation. So as we close, Juan, what is it that you would just like to share with folks as we end off the call today?
I would say that we all know, I believe, or the majority of us here knows that the future is going to be exponential with all that implies. But I do believe that in order to that future to be exponential, gotta be community driven, or it ain't gonna be exponential, because we are humans, and as humans, we are social animals. So if we want to build this humane future, we gotta understand that first and foremost, it's gotta be community driven.
Absolutely, 100%. Juan, it was great chatting to you. Awesome to go off script there a bit too. And yeah, hopefully we see you around in the community.
Absolutely. And thank you so very much, Kevin.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Ciao.
So that was Juan Jose Diaz. Great to chat to him and to go for a little bit off script, but what an awesome conversation. So thank you to everyone for watching. Share it with your friends. And if you came in a bit late, you can always watch the recording, which is up on all social media, as well as on media.exoworld.live. We'll see you all again next week. Thank you so much for joining us.